1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello. Welcome back to SIS Podcast for another episode. We are so apologize for the delay, just having a little bit of difficulties. One is traveling. Dee will get her back on here shortly when she finds a safe space. Carlotta, we're just having a little difficulties with the technology, right? So I apologize for the delay. But, we're going to get the show on the road because today we have a very exciting guest, and it is actually one of our one of the fathers of Dominitrice. Well, not one of the fathers. He's the only father. But Dominitrice's father is going to be joining us today for a very special episode. And his name is Louis Franklin. I was going to have her introduce him, but we're still trying to get her on. She is currently traveling to right now, so I'm going to get her on the road as soon as I see her in the backstage. But joining us today, he's going to be sharing his powerful journey from being a teen father from Arkansas, navigating the streets. He was federally indicted and incarcerated, to returning home, having to rebuild and choosing family, faith, and work. It's a story of accountability, resilience, and redemption, right? Everybody deserves a second chance. And I believe that we all can grow through what we go through, right? And so that's all part of life. We make decisions that at the moment, at the time, it feels good to us or it feels right to us, and or we're just going through some things that we make decisions that we aren't proud of, and so we have to live with those consequences, right? Many of us have gone through that, have done that. I know me myself, I have made decisions and have done things that I'm not so proud of, but you live and learn and you grow through it. I think that one of the main things I feel is important and that does affect the things that we do and the choices that we make. One of the main things I feel like it's our environment. It's who we associate with. It's who we keep around in our circle. That's going to determine our outcome. So I say this a lot, and I say this in just doing an inventory of everyone that you associate with and everybody that you're around. If you want to do better, when you know better, you do better, right, Carlotta?
Yes.
Yes. So we're just gonna take a minute to get Dee and her father on the line here. But is there anything else you want to share, Carlotta? How's your new year going? And what are some exciting things ahead?
It's going well. I'm actually excited. Yesterday, was it? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Long weekend. King's Calling was able to come out and participate with yourself, of course. You all did the soft launch. I know when you start working on things and we're sitting crisscross applesauce, envisioning and, as they say, manifesting things. And then when you actually sit and you're in it, it's just like a radical experience for me. I know today we were at church, we were talking about alignment. Last year for me, the big word or was manifestation. This year for me, that alignment is important. They were talking about alignment, spiritual alignment, as an entrepreneur, as an individual, we touched on. But apart from that, I know yesterday we had a connection with someone, and they were talking about, ironically, so just something about the topic for today. So something for me, I think you and I talked about a while back. I mentioned it to Dee. Is like my fashion brand or interest or passion is not just to style somebody up and get paid for having look good, right? Because we can do that with or without a styling expert, but at the same time, being able to do something that is rewarding. So, that whole individuals who have been incarcerated, specifically women for me, and are coming out, God knows the decisions that we make that would take us to that position, but to come out and be redeemed or have a second chance or a different choice to make. So being able to stop individuals up that are going to go and be interviewed or go potentially get a job, because we already know, I don't know what employment looks like for somebody, my experience is HR, but like coming out of that, there's certain industries that have do's and don'ts about certain things. So, but to be able to work with women who are coming out and being released and being able to style them up specifically for employment, that's a phenomenal experience for me, because that really aligns, as they say, with what I initially envisioned when it came to fashion. Besides being week in LA and having amazing individuals that I connect with through the vehicle of fashion. But I like the fact that we can start talking about those things, like not just domestic violence survivors, but individuals who are being released from whatever situation that is, and being able to, seek employment. So I'm excited about that for 2026.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things coming up. And yesterday's soft launch was amazing. Yes, it was nice. It was very amazing. And, everyone who came and supported us, thank you so much for that. I just want to make sure that this is showing up. I'm pretty and ruthless, don't play with me. I'm pretty and ruthless, don't play with me.
While you're doing that, I do want to say I am the mom of 5 children, basically 3 adults, and my baby is double digits. I'm feeling like an empty.
So we are showing up. I just want to make sure we're showing up. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Can you hear me, Carlotta?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Oh, I'm on mute. I'm sorry. I muted myself.
No,
okay.
you're not.
Oh no, I'm saying my laptop, I had it low. I had it on low. So I couldn't hear you. I'm talking to you, but I couldn't hear you. And I finally took my braids down. So
okay.
That was a good experience. I had braids by Jalea for my Hawaii trip, and it was so convenient and so easy. I just had to wash my hair, and that's it. Wash and go. So
right now, you see I said now you see why I kept them braids there for different braids, because when you get up early in the morning with transportation, I'm like 5:30 in the morning.
Yes.
You have a meeting just side to the, so it's definitely convenient.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about 2026. My oldest son graduates from college, so it's gonna be my first child graduating from college.
Oh, very nice.
Hey.
That is very nice. First graduating. What do you got plans?
He wants to go. I think he wants to go out of town. So we were talking about. He mentioned Puerto Rico or Jamaica or something like that for out of town or out of state trip. But other than that, he's going to continue. He wants to continue pursuing his master's in business. So
nice. So because our topic is on truth, accountability, and transformation, is there anything that you would like to share in regards to that while we're waiting for our guests to arrive? So basically, accountability. Yep, we're talking about taking responsibility. We're talking about rebuilding after brokenness,
Well, wow. That's a heavy topic.
We all have really dealt with that and are dealing with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think for me, being, now single, I guess I would say, most people, I get triggered or try not to be triggered by certain things, but I want to say oh, I'm a single mom or whatever, but their dad's involved and, he's involved in their life. So, it seems weird to say I'm a single parent, but I will say I'm a single woman and coming out of a long-term marriage, I guess I would say, it just feels weird. But for me, I'm excited about the ability to maintain my independence in the manner of like business. I've always had the desire to be an author. I really want to focus on, rebuilding that, because I've been writing since fourth grade, talking about that, but just really, being intentional with what I write and what people read as it pertains. Because, it's great to be a fashion designer and be an entrepreneur, but sometimes people got to hear your heart, because, we're everyday women, and trying to succeed in this world. So for me, the accountability would be just holding myself specifically accountable, because you can devote yourself to someone or something for a very long time. I think Dee and I were talking about that earlier this week about, being the sacrificial offering. We was just joking. I said, you give others. But for me, I want to give just as much I've given to, someone else, whether it's a relationship or not, but just to myself, like, just specifically like the business, being intentional about the transportation, about, the fashion, about, writing, and not just talking about like, I wanted to do this, what that whole have been, would have been, that season's over. I'm gonna be 50, now I have no limitations, as they say. So I'm excited about that. So for me, just the accountability would be to myself. I have individuals like myself and Dee, and I have a tribe that I've been able to, have just generate around me through fashion, but they're all entrepreneurs. I was sitting there yesterday at the event, and I'm like, every woman was talking about, what we do, who we are, and how phenomenal the force that we carry. And sometimes we're just so involved in the drama or the trauma and the things that are happening in our lives, that if we let that overtake us, like it could swallow you. And it's just like to be able to hear that friendly voice. So just maintain those positive, connections, but intentional, for me, intentional on holding myself accountable for what I say I know I can do and I should be doing. And now I really, eliminate the excuses that come from within me. You know what I'm saying? It's not like because I was in a relationship it was just, I was devoted to being a housewife, devoted to being a mother. Now that my kids are older, they're graduating high school and college. So that's pretty much, I would say for me, accountability is for me to myself, cutting out the procrastination,
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that one.
We all guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. I know I am, but I think just moving into here, it's just all about being intentional and moving forward with intention, for sure. Because man, it's a new year already, and I'm just like, okay, I've got one more year to enjoy before I launch into the 50s, right? And so I'll be turning 49 this year. And so, yes, moving with intention. And a lot of times that could ruffle some feathers, right? Because it's not that you're trying to be a different person. It's not that you're trying to do anything different. You just want different for yourself. And in order to do that, you have to move differently, right? In order to set boundaries, you have to speak differently within yourselves, right? And I feel like a lot of times we don't allow ourselves that space to be able to do that, right? Because like you said earlier, we're so consumed with the load and the trauma and the everyday hustle and bustle. We don't pause and take a moment to just reflect and just, hey, what do I want to do today? And live with intention. What is it that I could get off my list that's draining my energy? What is it that I can avoid, or who is it that I could not allow in my space so that I can have room to grow and to breathe and to take it to the next level? And so this year for me, launching off, this is the 4th day of the year and it's going amazing already. And I'm so excited for it being just the 4th day of the year and everything is just aligning. But I just refuse, right? I refuse to be around or carry on any negative thoughts, because like I always believe, whatever we think is going to result in our action, which is going to result in our reality. And so being able to allow ourselves to recognize those negative forces or that negative energy, or if you're in a room and you feel crappier than you were when you arrived, a certain person was in there, or then it's like, okay, no, I can't I have to protect my energy, so just being intentional about your space and your growth. And that's what I'm that's what I'm focusing on this year, being intentional. So because today's topic is on accountability, growth, and choosing differently, Dee, what would you choose differently for launching into the new year?
Accountability and choosing differently. Oh wow. that's good. Choosing differently and accountability. I would say allowing myself more grace and choosing me this year. As everyone know, I enjoy serving, and I put others as well as my family before my own desires. So I said I will put myself first this year, and thinking more logically and into reality, and seeing things for what they are. Because I'm a planner and I like to be strategic. So letting things flow, letting things flow, So I'm like, no, you can't do things that way. You already know how I am. And they're like, it's okay, So I think that's
right. Yeah, it's okay. But also, it's good that you recognize that, but also recognizing as well that sometimes we have to meet other people where they're at too. Not everybody is the same way as us. And as I reflect on some of my training through my coaching programs and things like that, we just have to, the better we know people, the better we can have better relationships, right? In order to learn the different styles that we are up against, right? And just recognizing and learning the different personality types that we're around, so we can kind of like, okay, this person just like straight to the point, just like no details, just like, okay, let me speak their language so they get it, so I can get what I want, so I'm not frustrated, like, why aren't they reading what I'm saying? Why are they? But not everybody needs to be handheld. Some people need to be handheld, or like send a video, maybe, instead of some people are visual, right? So like sending a video of you talking to them, or instead of a text will be better. Like, hey, I'm this person, da, da, da. Whatever you wrote in the long text, do it in a video form. Keep them engaged. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you already know. That's one of the things that I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, so that's been like, I believe one of my struggles. Yes, that's been one of my. So I believe I really been getting dealt with in that area. So even this whole podcast session, the very beginning, okay, I was ready, and then I've been trying to communicate with my dad as well, because I'm like, okay, Daddy, you're about to be on the session, but unfortunately, thank you all for joining this session, whoever is present. Fortunately, my dad would not be able to join today. This is one of the pivot sessions. My dad is a mechanic, and he worked at different buildings downtown. That's one of the things he was going to share today. Actually, I'm so proud of my dad and his transition. We'll share more about that during another podcast session.
Well, today perhaps you could share perhaps you can be his voice and share what you know, and then when we are ready to bring him on.
Yes. So
from your perspective,
Yes, he's a building engineer, but he's dealing with a flood. I would be happy to share his story. But my dad, he can share better. But my dad came to Chicago. I don't recall the exact age, but I do know he was a young boy, maybe about 6 or 7 years old. He's from Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas. And since he came here at a young age, he moved to the city of Chicago, south side of Chicago, with his aunties, who my aunties raised my father at a young age.
Pastor, no, go upstairs, go. Sorry, guys. My
at a young age, I was raised in the south side of Chicago. And of course,
Pastor, go upstairs.
west side of Chicago. And my dad was,
upstairs.
intelligent man. He was basically converted to the West Side gangs, and then eventually, went into the Humboldt Park gangs, which he was converted to a Latin disciple. Fast forward, him and my mom had me, oldest of 4 siblings, and my dad he obtained an education up to high school, and my mom obtained an education up to her early high school years. But he chose the lifestyle because the drug dealer to provide financially for me and my siblings and my mom. My mom and dad had their first apartment at the age of 16, 17 years old, raising my siblings. I did come from a 2-parent household, and I shared that plenty of times. My dad basically was one of the youngest drug dealers in Humboldt Park, and he eventually raised, ended up becoming one of the top drug dealers and top chiefs of Humboldt Park, and he was an African-American drug dealer amongst a Latin gang in Humboldt Park. He later was federally indicted at a young age as well, where he ended up serving a RICO charge by the federal government. He served his time over. He was originally granted about 30 years prison time or 25 years. I don't recall.
Oh no.
Oh.
We lost her.
Oh no.
All right.
And we have we're kind of technical.
Yes,
ring light-
today's.
I know my light went out.
They don't want me to share the story.
That's why everything's working against us this day today. Everything's working against us, girl. First I had the baby,
but anyway,
and the dog.
he was released. He was released off early time. Maybe about 11 years ago. And upon his release, he had to transition back to society. I did want to share that he was in and out of prison during that time as well. But once he was released, me and my dad, all of us, me and my siblings, we worked on our relationship with my father. And my dad, when he was released, he had to get acclimated with the society in terms of education, employment, housing resources, of which me and my siblings all came together to assist my dad in getting back on his feet. And I was surprised because the resources was there. However, they were not really pushing the resources, and they were not really helping my dad. So me and my siblings basically like, hey, we're going to help you, Dad. So the therapy was there. His parole officer was assisting him, but I was like, I'm gonna help my dad. So I helped my dad, and we were like, here, Dad, I'm gonna help you with your resume. We're going to take you to, see your parole officer, your therapist. We're going to make sure you get your housing that you need. And it's been like an ongoing battle, but now he has employment. He was able, to get, housing, but it's been a path. It's been a rough patch, for our whole family off and on. I would say that for anybody that's going through anything, because I was a teen mother myself, me and my family, even walking that path, it's a lot to unpack. And this whole podcast session would not be able to reveal the duality of our life. I would say that. And that's why I'm writing my book about it. And my dad would be able to provide more information about it as well, in terms of, his life and the impact that it had on him personally. Me, I only can speak from being a daughter. Like, I was able to experience the parties. I was there. We go back and forth about this, and I share with people. Me and my siblings even go back and forth, and we talk about it. I'm like, I was there with my dad. I remember being at the corner with him, experiencing a drive-by shooting at the church on Maple Well Lemoyne. And, I was like, my dad jumped in front of me, and he wrapped me in his arms, barricaded me, So it's that like moments like that I remember and I experience, and it goes so much deeper. But I remember my father's love,
Yeah.
despite anything that we encounter, his grace. Um, and I appreciate my mom and dad from a different perspective at this age, because they only knew how to provide with the resources that they knew how to provide for us, because they were young parents, back then. And they told me and my siblings, keep y'all head in the books. That's the only way y'all gonna make it out.
Wow.
And for that reason, they also told us, and they were strict with us, they kept us together, but they also told us we couldn't go nowhere. And my parents always gave back to the community, so they're very respected in the community. No matter where they go, they said, that's Diane and Louis' children. Anywhere we go, so my parents, they're respected everywhere we go, because of the things they did in the community. So I looked at my parents growing up as heroes. I didn't know they were drug dealers. I didn't know that, what they were doing. I thought they were doing good. So with that being said, I admire my parents growing up. But then when my dad got arrested, we also resented him, like, you're being taken away from us.
Right.
So that was some stuff that we had to unpack growing up as well.
How old were you when that happened?
So
how old were you when he got arrested?
I was 13 years old.
Okay.
I was 13 years old.
How did that impact you?
So I was 13 years old. My dad got federally indicted. And then, I turned around and got pregnant. I was hurt. My heart was broken.
Yeah. How long was he indicted for? Or in
So
jail?
you have to remember, my heart got broken twice. He was in jail for maybe about 15 years, 13 to 15 years.
Oh, okay. So quite some time. Yeah. So then he came out, and then you rebuilt your relationship with him and got to know him a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know you mentioned 2-parent household, but and if he was also like out for an extended period of time, how did that affect the dynamics? Like your mom became like the mom, the dad.
The
so
single
like,
mom.
I mean, single parent household. So I know it is. My mom be like, I'm the
Oh
mom.
yeah. So even.
Because
So when my mom and dad, when they were together, we did like family Sundays. My mom and dad, they got together. We did holidays together, cooked together. We did groceries together. They set us together, did homework together. So even when my mom and dad separated, like we went shopping together, and we ain't talking about like small shopping. My mom and dad, we did like all our glam house shopping. Like we had Jordans, we had the new things, labels, like we had everything. So when my dad got locked up, it was almost like we went down to poverty, if that makes sense. But my mom still made the most of everything. So my mom, she was already going to school for her education. So my mom was already in school to become a CNA. She was already working at Kmart. So, and she also bartended. So by my mom doing all of, taking on all those roles, she also had my grandma, both of my grandmas. That's why I'm so close with both of my grandmothers, as well as a couple of my aunties, my auntie Renee, my auntie Felicia. We had like a community because our parents were so respected that everybody stepped in to help my mom when my dad got arrested. And it's like a community, and plus me, I was the oldest, and by me being the oldest, my mom was like, you have to step up and help take care of your siblings. So I started working at the age of 13. And of course, since my dad got arrested, I started rebelling. I'm just going to be honest. I started rebelling because I missed my dad. And plus I had to like on all these roles and responsibilities, started having people over at the house, fighting because I was getting picked on, and they was saying that my dad was a snitch, and it wasn't my dad that was a snitch. It was actually his brother that was. It's a lot to unpack here too, and it was so many things going around about my father that we also had to fight. And a lot of people don't know that either. Only the close circle know about. And so with that being said, my mom, that's how I got into community work. My mom made me and my sister start volunteering at foster care agency right off of Humboldt Park. And we started volunteering our time at foster care. We started going to the Boys and Girls Club. I started working at a telemarketing agency, and I started cooking for my brothers and sisters while my grandma and them would, come over and help my mom with us as well to watch us. So our lives did change. We started having people move into our house to, help my mom from time to time.
Wow. That was a lot.
So it was like a lot of different changes for us. And we was trying to understand it, but we did not understand it.
You're too young to understand it at that time too. And plus you didn't know what was going on.
And I give my mom the story. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So it's like all we had to do was keep going. And that's one of my things, like you got to keep moving forward, keep moving forward. And I remember my mom telling me, she said, we have to keep moving forward. Life don't stop. Your dad wants us to keep moving forward. And that's what my dad would say. You have to keep moving forward. Keep your head in the books. Keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? Don't stop for nobody. Y'all got to keep moving forward.
What was that feeling like when he was finally released? Do you remember? When you finally got your dad in your arms.
It was like it was like the world was lifted. It was like, oh my daddy's home. Like daddy's home. Like daddy's home. Like that's how it felt, like my daddy's home, And it was like daddy's home. Yeah. But then it's like daddy's home, but it's like now what?
Right.
Now what? And I'm grown. I'm married. Yes. I have my kids. And my mom never, ever, ever badmouthed my dad, ever, So she was, he always was this amazing guy that did great things. So when he was out, we was like, Daddy, okay, what, you're this wonderful guy. Where's all the money? So we're expecting this rich guy to get out of prison and take
Oh my goodness.
That's the truth of the reality of it.
Oh wow. And how old were you when he got out? You were like late in your 20s, right?
At this time, I had to be in my late 20s, going on my 30s at this time. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the
where's the money, Dad? Where'd you bury it before you went into jail?
Yeah, like where is it? So then we started talking. He started telling us everything, and I was like, "What? Like what?" And then I'm like, "Damn, they did you like that? Like what the heck?" So it made me start looking at things that I already felt some type of way already about people. So it's like, really? Is this where we at? Mm-hmm. So it gave me more of it, like, okay, an awareness, more of a discernment. Yeah. And then made me even more like, okay, I'm gonna do things, continue to do things the legitimate way. And when my eyes open, crossing my T's, dotting my I's, people can't be trusted, even if you do have a good heart. Mm-hmm. And you mean well. Like a lot of people, no matter how much good you do, no matter how much you mean well, it never gets acknowledged. Like the way that they kicked him to the side and didn't look out for him or his family, because they didn't look out for us. A lot of people didn't look out for us. Wow. If anything, they preyed on us. Yeah. That's how I felt. But when he was out, all they do is reminisce. Like, what reminiscing gonna do? You have to live your life. Right. And that's why I get it that you can't soak on the past. You have to live in the now. It's okay to talk about the past, but the past serves no purpose if you can't elevate, or if you can't do nothing with the past. Exactly. It's just a memory. Now you have to make the most of it.
Yep. Living for the moment, living for now. A lot of times we get caught up with what happened in the past, and also we get caught up with what's coming up in the future that we just go crazy. And you're right. You're absolutely right. That's my new mindset. Just live for the now, live for today, live for right now. What are you going to do right now, right this moment, that is going to make you happy, or that is going to elevate you tomorrow, right? And that's, I mean, life is short, you know.
Tomorrow is
It
no
is.
And
promise.
we are all, and I
It
took
is.
this
It is.
stone catchers counseling, Sabrina's practice. We're one decision away from changing the rest of our life. So all of us is one decision, always one
No,
decision
that's the
away
truth.
from changing the rest of our life. So, you know, so what decisions are you going to make that's going to get you out of your situation, or that's going to improve your life, unless you're happy or you're content with the way your life is. But if you're not, what are the things you're going to do to make it happen? You know, what are some of the things you can do to change your situation if you're not happy with it, right? And so so when he came out, it sounds like you guys have also supported him in his journey.
And not only that, I also want to exactly, and it also reminds me, because we often go back and forth in terms of the resources that was afforded to him, as well as, you know, money, because he's like, I made the decision because I wanted to financially provide for my family, and he only did what he knew best and what was quick, you know, and lucrative. But all that was gone and taken away. And then we also have to remember, you know, with, you know, my background, my education, and learning about administration and welfare and poverty, and everything was, to me, as I researched and look back, and knowing my parents' background and my grandparents' background, and even, you know, all the stuff we're going through right now with entrepreneurship and business, you look at the reason why the welfare system was created. You look at how drugs were circulated in the system and brought into the United States. And then you look at the impact that it has, not only on my generation, but on my parents' generation, and then on my grandparents' generation. And if you sit me in a room, I'm like, I am the statistic. It started not just with me, it started with my parents, it started with my grandparents. You know, the welfare system, as well as the drug economic line, it started. But I'm grateful, and I can humbly say this, it ended with me and my children. My parents had to sacrifice their lives so that I could make it here. And yes, I have struggles, but I'm grateful to be here. But I want to make sure their stories and their lives are heard. Their voices are heard. And they're not you know, the lives that they sacrifice are not unheard. And that there are promises, and there's lives that can forever be changed because of our lives. Carlotta, your story, upon your story, my story, and our children's stories.
Yes.
There's promises, and there's legacy beyond what they created.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, our parents can only do what they're given, right? The resources and stuff that they're given is the whole generational trauma and the whole generational curse, right? And I had to, as I got older, you know, I had to learn to forgive my parents, my mother, right, for the way that I was treated as a young child, or the way that the things that I did go through as a young child. How could they love me if they were never taught that, or if it maybe not in the custom to show love? I remember I used to ask my dad all the time, like, how come you don't hug or kiss me, or, you know, do those things? And it's just one of those things that it's a culture thing. Like, you know, my late husband would ask me, like, what, you guys never hugged, you never kissed and stuff, your parents? I'm like, no, I never seen my parents hug or kiss. We don't show display of affection. And so he thought that was really weird. And a lot of people would think that that was really weird, but I just never felt the love, or never, I just had to know that I was loved, okay, in the Lao culture, right? Which I was very glad and blessed to experience love when I did run away and ended up, being taken in by Mama Sanya, being raised by, another family, right? That all they did was hug and kiss, and it became natural for me. At first, it was like uncomfortable because I'm like, okay, I'm not used to this, but it just now became a natural thing for me. However, I do feel like some of the things that I did experience as a child affected me with my children, because now it's like the whole generational curse. I don't hug or kiss them enough, right? Because when they were younger, they used to be like, how come you're not hugging or kissing me, right? And they would force it on me because they would know why I don't. And they would know, like, at least, I shared with them, hey, I was never loved or felt loved or hugged or kissed, and which is why it's hard to reciprocate, like those things that you were never experienced, or
there you go.
You never felt yourself, right? It's hard to reciprocate what you don't know. Now, like I said earlier, the more we know, the more we grow. And so it's important to, recognize that. But even so, sometimes we know, but we don't do better, right? Because subconsciously, okay, it's uncomfortable, right? We've never got that. So we're not able to give out what we have never received, right? So we're not able to give our children what we didn't have. So in your dad's case, perhaps, and down the line, that's survival, right? So our goal, and what I feel like our intention behind our sisterhood, is to change that, is to become a community of thought leaders where we could recognize those generational things and those trauma within our collective minority communities, and be able to speak on it and be able to call it out and be able to say, no, enough is enough. This is not what we want moving forward. We want to change that. So I feel like, recognizing it and being able to speak up and speak our truth,
Yeah, and you said something very important, even our upbringing, because right before my grandma's passing, I remember going to visit her before she moved to California. She was still in Arkansas, and I remember the last visit to my grandma in Arkansas. She was telling me, I recall picking cotton with my dad. That was one of her best memories she had. This is my grandmother. And before she sent my dad to Chicago to live with my auntie, my dad recalled those cotton fields and playing in the fields with my great uncle Leo. Wow. And they remember, like, even when they used to get, a whooping, they would have to get a stick from the field to get a whooping with great grandmother. My family still have, houses and back houses. My grandma used to still pick cotton, and we're talking about 60s, early 50s. So it's still early. We're 2025, 2026 now. That's where my family is from, Hot Springs, Arkansas. At least my paternal side of family, and that's why my dad came to Chicago. So a lot of people don't know that part of me either. And that's why I value family. I enjoy serving people and I love people, but I do have a high discernment, and I appreciate my family, but I also learned to sit with myself as well, especially through so many things I've been going through and so many changes, because I've learned also that we also need a lot of healing. And we also need to learn to respect each other, as well as know when to gracefully be in and out of season where God is speaking to us as well. So we can show up better for each other, if that makes sense as well.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to accountability. It goes back to grace, and it goes back to alignment.
Alignment.
That's all goes back to the question you asked me. Yes. There you go. So
It's
yeah,
all aligning.
and
Yes.
thank you for yeah, everything. Even creating this space, so my dad could share his voice, and um, it's timing. It's all about timing. So his time will come when he can share his voice. But I'm honored to share some of his story and my experience with my parents. From a healthy perspective, because a lot of times we're not able to share our parents' stories unless it's because we're like, this happened to me from a trauma perspective. Instead of like, no, I appreciate my parents.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. And I wouldn't be able to communicate this if you would have asked me maybe about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I probably would have been communicating from a victim mentality. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not presenting my story from a victim mentality.
Absolutely.
I cannot. I will not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
I wouldn't be the woman I am today if it weren't for my parents. I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for my
exactly. Exactly. Yes, we definitely
So there you go.
give our parents some grace as well. They only doing what they can do, So only, like I said, only give what they can do. They can only pour out from what the capacity that they have as well, and or what they have been taught as well. So I give our parents some grace. We still, had to learn how to survive on our own.
Babies raising babies. Babies raising babies.
Exactly, because they were young and then you were young having your baby, so but we made it here. Look, we made it here. You made it here, and
we made it. Here we are.
Yes, we made, and it made us who we are, like you said. Yes, it absolutely made us. Yes. So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing your story from your perspective of your father. And I'm sure we're going to be able to give him his own space another time when it's right, and another time that he's available. So with that being said, is there anything that you ladies want to touch on when it comes to, accountability and resilience from what we growing through what we go through?
Oh, in terms of resilience and going through what you go through, I just shared with a young lady that I just, had lunch with earlier. Allow yourself grace, even if you make mistakes. You wouldn't have no story if you didn't make mistakes.
Absolutely.
So keep going. And you will have critics. You will have people that don't believe in what you do, and naysayers, but still show up and do what is best for you, because there's no blueprint to this life we live. It seems like everybody have the answers to everyone's life. Apparently, I guess everybody is an expert in something. I'm sorry, but I'm like, everybody is an expert in something. But to me, we're all uniquely made, and we're all are different. And with that being said, I feel like we all should be moving as a united front, especially these times we're living in. And I feel like we can all be together, but it seems like everybody is more invested in working against each other instead of working together, or trying to critique and tear apart each other.
Yes.
And it's one thing to communicate effectively, then communicate and be reactionary.
Absolutely.
It's all about delivery, but everybody don't have that gift of gab. I do understand that as well, and effectively communicating, because you can agree to disagree, but everybody don't also have that either. But to each his own. And y'all already know how I feel about that. But yeah, just continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to give yourself grace, and allow people to be people, and live your life without allowing people opinions to affect the way you live your life.
Absolutely.
That's all I can say.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Anything else from you, Carlotta, before we close up?
Just intentionality. I talked about that earlier. Just being.
I like, sister, drop the mic.
She said that. I was like,
Intentional.
what are you say? My thing is, my mom came in. I know, right? You so silly. My mom came in from Puerto Rico, and then we talk about, being in the U.S. and so on and so forth. And I know, understand where I'm coming from. Indeed, being born and raised in Humboldt Park, I guess for me, in closing, is saying like just keeping each other in prayer and just being aware about the mix of what's happening in other places. Because as much as I am a U.S. citizen and I'm here in Chicagoland area or whatever, there's things that affect others and their life, like their lifestyle can be affected by, like Puerto Rico was being affected because something that's happening in another country. So just being aware of like the things that we can do and value the resources that we have. We talked about getting all the good name brand things, and then life transitioned. And then everything became different. For me, it was totally different because my dad might have been incarcerated. I wouldn't even know because he wasn't present. But I will say that, we have to honor wherever, like you said, where our parents were at, who they are, how it came about. It seems like there was a sense of absenteeism in our parents at some time or another, but it made us a phenomenal woman. Like, I keep on going back to yesterday, how some people were just like giving us accolades. And I'm personally very humbled. I know all of us are because we carry similar spirits. But it's like, if you don't understand, like it don't matter if it's, somebody being absent for our life or somebody, us society to not have them present, period. It's just like it's important to value and being accountable to yourself. It's great to talk about what these other individuals are doing or not doing, what they value or don't value. But I believe that, we're soul sisters. So we have soul in us and there's something in us. There's a certain sense of resilience that we have, that if your father wouldn't have went away, if I wouldn't have had the dynamics happen in a single mother household, I wouldn't have been the leader and intentional, and the creativity wouldn't have been there because I had to use whatever resources I had. And no, I didn't know, we were low income and we were on welfare and all that. I know it was in the cheese line. I remember that much. I remember counting them food stamps. Ultimately, what connects us and makes us the women we are today, are forced to be reckoned with, and we come from such different styles. So that's for me, just holding myself accountable, but for us as a collective, hold ourselves accountable to what it is that we need to do to be intentional. So when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're being rewarded by something more than just getting up and getting a paycheck. That paycheck got played out for COVID because some of us still got paid during COVID and we weren't feeling anything that we were doing. So that would be for me.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true, guys. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna say goodbye until next time. Same time, same place, and hopefully we're gonna have our technology together so we can start at 4:00, or if we end up changing the time on Sundays, we'll let you know, because Sundays
changing the time.
The ladies, they're just getting out of church and everything, and we're just busy. Well, for me, right before this, I had my granddaughter in my arms because I didn't have anybody to watch her. So she was going to be on the show with me, and then my daughter showed up. So yeah. But all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are watching the live or the replay, we appreciate your support and your patience as we also navigate through all of our technology issues. And next time we will be better, and we will have everything here for you. So tune in again next time, same place. We'll see you. Ciao. Lock on.